watching the video, and I hope everyone's having a great day. If you're new, welcome. My name is Jai. Welcome to my channel, where this is 15 weird cartoon theories that might actually be true. I've been wanting to react to a cartoon theory, more like on a not so spooky side, but like eye opener. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just jump into the video.
Hi everyone, there is hardly a person who's never watched Disney cartoons in their life. Both children and adults love them, and many of them have become classics. The animators of the world-famous company have always loved putting Easter eggs into their work. Just remember a small head of Mickey Mouse, which can be found in almost any movie by the studio. Actually, there are many more references and theories related to Disney movies, and today we will tell you about the most exciting of them. Let's get it on. Cars is one of the most successful franchises in the history of Disney Studios. These movies tell about the adventures of the racing car Lightning McQueen, who unexpectedly, even for himself, becomes a star racer. Congratulations, champion! So, have you ever wondered why this saga is entirely free of humans? Yeah, we're talking about a fictional universe where inanimate characters become alive, but usually there's some degree of human presence. This question is perhaps best answered only by the creators. Not so long ago, the creative director of the Cars team, Jay Ward, gave an interview where he described his theory about the cartoon universe. And believe us, it is not kid-friendly. Jay based his theory on the fact that in the modern world, more and more autonomous cars are appearing on the market. He describes the world of the near future, where unmanned cars become smarter and decide to simply get rid of the drivers. Roughly speaking, we're talking about an alternative universe where robots took over. Sounds scary, right? And that's not even all. Jay suggested that the cars from the animated movie take their personality from the last person who drove it. What's actually happened to the drivers is not exactly clear. There is another creepy theory about Cars as well. Some fans of the Disney franchise suggest that the cars in these cartoons are not just cars. They claim people still exist in this universe, and perhaps all this time they simply remained inside the cars. This version of events is confirmed by the fact that the cars still have windows, doors and handles, even though they never opened during the cartoons. But we all know that Disney doesn't do anything without a reason. In addition, cars speak different languages. This means that in their worlds there are also different geographical locations. Here's one of the explanations behind the Cars universe. In a future world where the number of unmanned vehicles is growing exponentially, there are almost no drivers left. Just like people without a mobile phone these days, they begin to gather in separate communes away from the main civilization in order to protect their unusual way of life. Then at some point on Earth, an incredible cataclysm occurs, and only the residents of these communities manage to survive because they stayed away from the densely populated urban centers. This cataclysm most likely makes staying outdoors very dangerous. Therefore, people begin to spend almost all of their time inside their cars. Over the years, they form a cybernetic link with the cars and gradually merge with them. Well, now try to watch Cars once again, because after this theory, you'll probably see it from a different perspective. The first full-length film of the Pixar studio, which is now a Disney subsidiary, was released back in 1995. This was the first part of the cult Toy Story saga, an animated movie about the confrontation between the old-fashioned cowboy doll Woody and the new fancy toy Buzz Lightyear. The plot reflects the history behind the movie. Before the start of the project, director John Lasseter had to struggle for a long time with the conservative leadership of Disney. His idea seemed too advanced for the time. Lasseter suggested making cartoons using computer animation, while Disney old-timers were skeptical of this idea and insisted on the old-fashioned animation. Fortunately, John managed to convince the owners of Pixar, and in a few years, Toy Story was released and became a huge breakthrough in the world of animation. Here's another theory about Toy Story, which might turn your world upside down. For many years, cartoon fans have been wondering, where is the father of Andy, the owner of Woody and all of the other toys. Some believe that he died long before the events described in the movie, but not so long ago.
And the father had the name Woody.
Confirmed that it was true. But if the father really existed, then why don't we see his photo somewhere, like on the wall by the stairs? The creator explains that, in fact, the pictures are there. If you look closely, you can see photos of a young guy with glasses on the wall. Keep in mind that Andy never wore glasses. Scriptwriters say that this is his father in his early days. Moreover, Woody, Mr. Potato Head and Slinky used to be his toys in the past.
Oh.
Well, we got that sorted out, but what about the other characters? For example, the cowboy's friend, Jesse. Some fans of the franchise conducted a rigorous study on this subject. They took a good old look at the cowboy hat, which Andy often wears when he plays with his beloved friend Woody. This hat looks nothing like Woody's hat, but when you look at Jesse's hat, it becomes clear that they are the same. The only difference is that there's no satin ribbon, which may hint to the fact that it's quite old. And now let's remember the story of Jessie as it was told in the cartoon. The owner of the doll used to love her a lot, but
And
in
I think
her
that's her
teens,
mom.
she left her
Yeah.
favourite toy to gather dust under the bed. If you look closely at the interior of the room, you can see that this happened sometime in the 70s, when Andy's mum would have been a teen. Later we see how Jessie's owner throws her into a cardboard box and takes her to a flea market, but she keeps the hat. So what do we get from that? Yes, that is right. Andy wears the hat of his mother, and Jessie is the very doll that his mother threw out when she was a teen. The animators of the Pixar studio love to hide many Easter eggs in their cartoons, just like their Disney colleagues. So, through a thorough study, the most devoted fans of Pixar cartoons found that many of them actually take place in the same universe, even those that could hardly coexist. Let's start with Inside Out and Finding Dory, which is the prequel to Finding Nemo. Remember the main character of the former, 11-year-old Riley Anderson? You can see her among visitors to the Monterey Bay Aquarium, where Dory arrives in search of her parents. You might think that these are just similar characters. However, according to the plot of Inside Out, Riley lives near California Aquarium, so this can hardly be called a coincidence. In addition, the kids standing next to Riley at the wall of the aquarium look a lot like her classmates. If we take a closer look at the shots from the Inside Out classroom, almost every one of them appears in Finding Dory. But that's not all. In fact, not only these two films share the same universe, it turns out that all
some of these
kids
producers are
at the
asleep
aquarium
with it.
are grown-up versions of children from Toy Story 3. Let's go even deeper though. Take a closer look. This girl is just a spitting image of Boo from Monsters Inc., only a little older. Turns out that all three cartoons share the same universe. Yeah, we're surprised too, but actually, there's more. Remember how the main character of the cartoon Brave, Merida, fled to the forest after a quarrel with her mother? There, she comes to the witch, who turns out to be a woodcarver. This witch inexplicably disappears every time she passes through doors. Look familiar? Well, we'll give you another clue. One of the old witch's woodworks is an exact copy of the monster Sully from Monsters Inc. But why would he appear in this film?
And I think
There can only be
the
one
witch is Boo.
explanation. The witch is Boo, the girl whom Sally used to scare, but in the end became her childhood friend. Of course, you can say that this is just an Easter egg, and the theory is really far-fetched. But anyway, Brave takes place in 16th century Scotland, and Monsters Inc. in a relatively recent past. Yeah, that is true. But remember how the doors were used in the factory to scare children? That's right, they worked like a portal for time travel. In one of the scenes, the witch cuts a Pizza Planet truck from Toy Story out of wood, and as we've already established, Boo lived in this movie's universe. Well, is your mind blown yet?
I don't know.
Let's point out another reference so that you don't have any doubts at all that Pixar movies are connected. In Inside Out, Joy and Sorrow met Riley's imaginary friend from early childhood, whom she has already begun to forget. His name is Boom Bong, and he would fit perfectly into any other cartoon produced by the same studio. But wait a second, in fact he was already part of it. Bing Bong is actually a character from Monsters Inc., who came to Riley in childhood. Most likely, this happened after the discovery of the power of laughter, when the monsters began to make the children laugh instead of scaring them. And now let's leave the world of Easter eggs and go back to the world of shocking theories. Remember the plot from the animated movie Up? Let us quickly refresh your memory. The main character, a grumpy old man called Carl Fredricksen, sets off on a trip to Paradise Falls, tying a bunch of balloons to his own house. We know that he decided to realize the dream of his wife, who died shortly before the trip. Some fans claim that the main character of the film is already dead. It happened when he was ordered to leave his house and go to a retirement home. So, almost everything that happens in the cartoon is a journey through the netherworld. Carl's faithful companion, 8-year-old Scout Russell, is his guardian angel, who's trying to earn his wings by helping the old man on his difficult journey. Well, and Paradise Falls is a metaphor for paradise. Of course, this theory is based solely on assumptions, but it sounds very poetic. Since the release of The Little Mermaid in 1989, many fans have been wondering what happened to Ariel's mother. You won't find the answer in the movie. We only know about King Triton and 6 sisters. However, in 2008, Disney released a prequel to the cartoon entitled The Little Mermaid, Ariel's Beginning, where the creators finally shed a light on this topic. We learned that many years ago, Ariel's mother Athena died at the hands of pirates. And now, fast forward to the universe of another Disney movie, Peter Pan. It takes place in the fictional country of Neverland, where the mermaids also live. In one of the scenes of the movie, we even see the main character surrounded by 3 sea beauties, and one of them looks a lot like Ariel. One of the characters is Captain Hook, the leader of the pirates, who doesn't spare even the most charming creatures. Was he the one who killed Athena? Fans believe that this is true. The contempt that King Triton feels for people becomes much more understandable in this case. Disney movies, of course, may have sad backstories, but they also always have happy endings. Or do they? It all depends on how you look at it, really. We all remember Snow White lived with her evil queen stepmother, who later ordered the murder of her stepdaughter. Fortunately, the hunter left the girl alive, and she began to live with 7 dwarves in a forest, where she got poisoned with an apple a bit later. Then she fell asleep. Prince Ferdinand came for her, kissed his beloved, and saved her from death. Right? We are used to thinking that the savior took the princess to his kingdom and they lived happily ever after. However, some skeptical fans believe that this is not what happened. In their opinion, Ferdinand was actually death personified. That was why Snow White ran away from him when they met by chance in the forest. Moreover, her trip to the kingdom far away after her awakening was more like a road to paradise. The sweethearts literally rode on the clouds, so perhaps it was not a rescue we saw in the cartoon at all, but Snow White's soul leaving her body. The movie Tangled was released in 2010, and of course, it's not as famous as the classic Disney cartoons, but there are a few cliches that are quite familiar to us. For example, Mother Gothel, who stole the main character from her real parents. She imprisoned Rapunzel in a tower with one window, so that no one in the world would know the secret of the magic power of her hair, the ability to preserve youth. Don't you think that this evil, greedy, and manipulative woman resembles someone? And it's not just her character. Just look at these images. You've got to agree, she's the spitting image of the evil queen from Snow White.
Yes,
perhaps after falling from a cliff or fleeing from the dwarves, she survived and later kidnapped Rapunzel and went back to her life as it used to be, with an obedient stepdaughter by her side. This theory is confirmed by the fact that both films are set in Germany, as in the original books. Yep, over a century has passed between these stories, but what is 1 century for a sorceress? If you haven't watched the cartoon The Emperor's New Groove, then here is a quick plot summary for you. It is a story about Cusco, a young and self-centered Incan emperor. His former advisor with ambitions for the throne plots against him, which leads to the emperor being turned into a llama. Throughout the film, we watch the former emperor try to regain his human form. In the end, he succeeds, and the advisor turns into a helpless kitten. There is a scene in the movie where Cusco wanders through a terrible forest in the body of a llama and sees a fly being devoured by a huge spider while screaming for help. However, we know from the movie that only animals that were once human can speak. Therefore, this scene is actually much more tragic than it seems at first glance. One of the biggest mysteries of modern Disney cartoons is the fate of Anna and Elsa's parents from Frozen. It seems that now we finally know what happened to them. According to the movie's co-director Chris Buck, the king and queen were killed by a leopard on a desert island many years ago. They actually were not shipwrecked at all, as we previously thought. The co-director of the movie pointed out another interesting detail. The couple built a treehouse on the island, where a little boy was born shortly after their death. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? We all already know one movie about an orphan who was raised by a family of gorillas after his parents' tragic death. Yes, it's the story of Tarzan, who may well be the long-lost brother of Anna and Elsa and a new Disney prince. Just look at the photos of these characters' parents. You can't deny an obvious similarity. We hope that you're not totally confused.
But he was already
Yes, we
born.
have a few more shocking theories to tell you, so take a good look. Doesn't the character of Jane from Tarzan remind you of a certain Disney princess? We'll give you a small hint. They're both equally fond of yellow. Well, you probably guessed it without our help. If the theory about the connection between Jane and Belle from Beauty and the Beast seems completely ridiculous to you, then pay attention to the china that the first heroine brought to the expedition. Yes, this is Mrs. Potts and her family. But how is this possible? Is it just a visual Easter egg? Well, maybe. But some fans are sure that Jane is Belle's actual granddaughter. She could have simply inherited the kitchenware. Plus, both heroines are very eccentric fathers. By the way, the Duke of Westleton from Frozen is very similar to Jane's father. And we remember that the two films are most likely set at the same time.
Some
So,
ancestry.
does this mean that in these frames he's
But I heard
standing
that
in
before.
front of his son-in-law's sisters? Mind-blowing. Remember when the genie appears in Aladdin for the first time? Yeah, right when the young man finds a beautiful oil lamp inside a magic trap cave. Wait, is that right? Well, we're no longer sure of anything. The
My
genie
camera
actually
did that.
appears almost in the first seconds of the film, disguised as a street vendor. They were even voiced by the same actor. However, only the most attentive viewers noticed this. Co-directors later officially confirmed this theory. And the next theory is based on fairly obvious facts, but for some reason very few people have heard of it. We all know that Ariel from The Little Mermaid is the daughter of the ancient Greek god Triton. If we look deeper into mythology though, we will learn that Ariel is the granddaughter of the supreme sea god Poseidon, Triton's father. Going further down the family tree, look at that.
Hercules.
Poseidon has a brother, Zeus, who is also Hercules' father. Honestly, we are already confused. But just to clarify, Ariel and Hercules are cousins, so the hair color and excellent vocal
There it
skills
is,
of
of course.
both characters are no coincidence at all.
The
Hey
sea
buddy,
and the
are you
sky.
tired of watching videos about cute animals and heartwarming stories? You need some...
Okay, my camera's about to die, so I think after this video, I just want to know, what did directors and the producers think about this? And I know producers be, they be, sliding stuff in, I know, but it's some interesting, and I heard these theories before. They're very eye-opening, interesting to me. I want to know more, more in depth in it. So thank God for finished this video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, I always say, share life, do what you want, and do positive. Peace.